Good evening, everyone. My name's Andrew, and I'm here to talk to you about clean water. To start, we'll talk about this bottle of water that I have sitting here, and the trip that I took to get it. Is the usual trip to the grocery store. Wake up in the morning on the weekend, take a shower. Usually lasts about 10 minutes or so. I hop in my truck. It's been kind of nasty out lately. It's kind of dirty. So I went through the car wash on my way to the store. I go into the store, do my shopping, grab 3 cases of water, which will last me a week and a half or so. And you get 72 bottles of water just like this one here for under $10. It's a pretty minimal cost to us. We don't really think about we don't put a lot of thought into the cost of water here, especially when our, monthly utility bills for water are so minimal. A trip for a kid in places like sub-Saharan Africa to get water might look a little bit different. Kids there might walk 5, 6, 7 miles one way with no shoes on, carrying jerry cans, which are these yellow plastic containers you can see here. It's a common water vessel. And when they're full, they usually weigh about 40 pounds. So it's a pretty substantial burden to travel barefoot many miles to get water that looks like this in the photo that isn't even considered drinkable water, just to stay alive. So this is a really big issue. It's important because there's almost 1 billion people in the world that don't have access to clean water or clean sanitation for that matter, and it causes all sorts of problems, including not only dehydration but stomach, intestinal, a lot of waterborne diseases and illnesses, and 80% of those illnesses and diseases that are caused in Africa and parts of Asia and South America are all attributed to lack of clean water and clean sanitation. And 80% is a big number. That's a very attributable factor when it comes to not having any clean water, and the clean water that is available isn't going to the people who need it. The current situation, considering that there's almost 1 billion people in the world that don't have clean water, the biggest problem is the sources that this water is coming from. Most of it is surface collected water. Surface water is always dirty. Even in clean places in the United States, surface water is not safe to drink. And the reason is they just don't have wells, they don't have rain collection devices, or even some dams can provide clean water. These places just don't have that. There's a few companies out there, nonprofit organizations, the waterproject.org in particular. They've been doing a really great job of getting things like wells and water fountains and things like that installed in some of these communities that really need them, but they can't do so at the capacity that's needed because there's just so many places that are in need. And the cost of installing a well in some of these rural areas varies so much by geography. It could be $15,000 to put one in one place and $35,000 to put one in another place. Just the logistics of getting equipment and the things that are needed to do so there are just such a great expense. And coupled with bad sanitation practices, this makes the water that is available on the surface, as well as the pollution, runoff, just makes that surface water not drinkable, but people are still drinking it. And this gets back to the cause of so many of the health issues. There's millions and millions of kids under the age of 5 that die every year from these waterborne illnesses, just for the simple fact that they don't have clean water to drink. Since there's already so many successful examples like companies like the waterproject.org that are doing things to provide new sources for water in these places that really need it. There's no sense reinventing the wheel if something is already working well. But there is a big gap between the capacity that they can successfully provide these wells and rain collection devices and the need that's actually there. And it's a lot of it has to do with funding. And we need to get more funding, more support, more awareness, and a lot more information out to people who really need it and who can help, including just the general public, governments, celebrities, companies, especially companies like General Electric, 3M, Dow Chemical, who already has a huge water purification division and water filtration division, and kind of join forces with all these companies and governments included to kind of provide a little bit more push, a little bit more resources, and a little bit more effort to get wells, water collection devices, and even some dams in certain rivers that can help provide just clean water, clean sanitation, and have access to clean water. And there's a few places that have clean water. And there's a lot of entities out there, UNICEF, FEMA, a lot of different really purpose-driven organizations that are helping with things. And I think we can develop one for specifically water and the need to get clean water to people all over the world. The Trump administration actually, I think about 2 weeks ago, which is something that started back in 2014, just rolled out their world water kind of a plan to combat the water issue worldwide. And that's a good start, and I think we need to kind of contribute that and get the organizations like the waterproject.org that are already doing these things, bring them together, using people like celebrities, relevant, very influential celebrities, social medias, private companies, like Dow Chemical, 3M, General Electric, all these companies that are working on water desalinization, water purification, and they have a lot invested in it, and they have a lot of knowledge. And I think knowledge, water knowledge, and scientific, research that's gone into it through all these big companies, combined with government power, of course, and the on-the-ground contacts that things like the Water Project have, generosity.org. We can make a big difference in all these people's lives and really reduce the amount of disease, reduce the amount of sanitation issues, and just increase the quality of life in people who really aren't asking for much. They just want the basics, which are clean water, food, clothing, and shelter. And that's really all these people have. And clean water would just be a huge luxury to them, and I think that we can do that. Putting all these things together, there'll definitely be some hurdles, politically, socially, bringing on companies that offer technology that's not cheap, especially new water filtration technologies. There's going to need to be some incentives as well for everybody involved, and I think that's going to be hard to find a way to get everybody to come together. I'd like to believe that they would all do it just for the simple fact of helping people in need, but unfortunately that doesn't always work. There needs to be some sort of profits involved for companies who are providing technologies. politically there needs to be some incentives there. Some of the issues too with water in these places is the flow of clean water gets diverted politically by people who have power hold more water. Similar to oil in certain places, water is a resource. It's a very necessary resource, and people are willing to take it if they can. And there's also going to be some geographical hurdles, especially with logistics, getting into some of these remote places, getting wells drilled, getting supplies delivered, water collection devices being installed, and dams. It's all very costly, a lot more costly than it would be to install it in a city, a local area where it's easy. There's roads, there's logistics, there's people and labor, there's no language barriers. So there's a lot of issues that will come up, but I think we can get through them. I would encourage everybody to take a look at the Water Project and some other water resource sites and just kind of see what's going on out there and read the facts. Here you can see a picture of a well that was installed and the smile on that young man's face and just what it can do for the people there. There shouldn't be that much of a challenge for someone to just get something like water that they need to survive. It shouldn't have to be a luxury. And the next time you're at the store buying cases of water, or taking that 10-minute shower, and it makes you think about it, and you can kind of, if it puts it into perspective, a 20-gallon shower that lasts 10 minutes would take care of a decent-sized family for a week over here. I think going forward, just pay attention to it. Look for more water projects out there and do what you can to help. It makes a huge difference in these people's lives, and it's really not that much here. It goes a long ways there. So just try and be mindful of that, and I appreciate it. Have a great day, everybody.